Adam, we are rolling.
Oh. Hello everyone and welcome to the second episode of the NAP podcast. Today we are joined by David Wang and our special guest Andy Lee. This episode we're going to talk about the LCS, and first of all I just want to start with the teams that are currently playing. And so have there been any noteworthy teams for you two?
I think Dignitas has been noteworthy in the wrong way, losing to basically every single team, including Golden Guardians.
Away, DeMonte once again going to be looking for the taunt. It's over, that's all she wrote. 4-0 final score. Golden Guardians win the easiest.
Which is at the lower end, well, basically at the bottom of a 6-22 record. And especially with the upcoming roster changes, I think that will stunt their performance even more.
I think 100 Thieves has been performing slightly better lately. Especially that change in the mid lane from Ryoma to Abudage is a very wise decision, it seems, since Ryoma has been performing pretty poorly.
Okay, and for me, I just want to highlight TSM's Uprising.
At the right time, Cloud9 will fall. TSM will be the one to do it, and they will take that Nexus.
During the summer split, we see them rise to first, and I think we should really applaud their topside's performance. Huni and Spica have been playing exceptionally well together.
Sheesh. What a sexy laptop.
However, I think Lost and Sorda are somewhat underperforming as a bot lane. I think last week we saw them get solo kill, and this hasn't been something that has happened pretty frequently, so I think TSM needs to fix that. Another team is Immortals, who have been on this sort of uprising, trying to challenge for a playoff spot. We see them challenging the meta a bit. Could have had a 3-0 week with their new Ziggs pick.
Also an option, but there it is! Ziggs! Magic damage heavy, so early, no magic phantom. Oh my goodness.
But unfortunately, they lost to Huni's backdoor. And so another thing that we're going to talk about, it is an NA without some really questionable roster changes. So I think the first one we should all start off, the one that everyone has on their mind, is Alphari getting benched after what seems like a pretty questionable Lee Sin performance, but I don't think it was bench worthy. What are your thoughts on the benching?
I think Santorin put it best that Alphari is still the best top in NA, and TL's move to bench him is really just putting them further behind rather than pushing them ahead. And it might be with some management issues, but I don't think management issues should affect how the team is doing, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. I think his sub Jenkins has also been performing pretty well. However, he's not Alphari. Yeah. We've seen some of his carry performances on Akali. He plays a lot of GP2. I think they're very good in the meta, but he's not Alphari, right? That's the one thing. If it was any other top laner, say he was substituting like Fake God or anyone else, I think it would be fine. But your issue is Alphari. And another star player that we saw benched was Sven. And so Andy, as an ADC player, how do you feel about Sven getting benched?
Very, very questionable, since Sven is a veteran, and he's a great AD carry player with like strong knowledge of the game. Very, very reliable. He's even known for his great Ezreal performances, and benching Sven in a meta where Ezreal's very strong is very questionable.
Yeah, we also saw his substitute King saying that Sven was pretty much the best ADC in the league. And so it raises a lot of questions to C9, right? Why are you benching your best player? But it's great that this week on the day of recording that we saw Sven coming back and King returning to Academy. So we hope to see C9 on that rise to their MSI condition again. And so the next star player that we're going to talk about is probably a bit more controversial. It's going to be Dardoch, who's been known for being pretty toxic.
Dardoch twisted his head and turned into the fucking Hulk. Started throwing left, right, and center. I think he broke a Riot employee's neck.
But he seems pretty good lately. So the bench has been a bit of a question. What do you guys feel about Dardoch?
I think I heard LS say it, but this benching wasn't more of like a emotional like management as it has been in like past years, but this time it's more with like the management team, as we saw like they were losing pretty badly, I think, right? And I think it probably wasn't the right decision. It's better to like, what I would do is I would like more so prop him up to like hopefully get better performances out of him rather than just like saying literally he's been benched, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's also a good time to bring Caden up. We know he's been a pretty good jungler in the LCS. I think the last time we saw him performing really well was 2019.
The closer wants to turn it around. Yasui going back, looking to turn onto him while Aframu's able to tank up here in the 2v2 on the other side. Yasui and Acadian grabbing the first kill. The second one going back over to Neo. It is a double kill, make it 3 dead on the side of 100 Thieves. Someday gets away, Acadian goes in. He's taking a lot of aggro now. He's got to get himself all the way out. Will he be able to make it? Yes, he will. Culling comes through and it's tanked back and forth by Afro and Fake.
With TSM, where they got reverse swept by Team Liquid. And yeah, so Dardoch has been one, and now we see Dignitas, right? That was one of the explanations for their 0-5 losing streak. And something else is talking about the Alfari one. Just yesterday, we saw Jat resigning his position as the head coach, and also Santorin, due to mental issues, right, taking a break. And so do you guys feel like, especially in the case of Santorin, was that like an actual mental health break needed, or was that just a jump ship while it was still possible, right? Because we see TL now being fourth and not being a really big contender for the playoff.
I'm not really sure. Perhaps like the pressure is probably getting to him because you know TL has been pretty prominent in like the past few years, and now that they're kind of falling off, it like could be like pretty big pressure from like fans especially to like say, oh, perform better or whatever, right?
Yeah, Andy, so I'm gonna give you a scenario here. If you were the coach of Team Liquid here, what would you do to try and make TL that first place team again?
Well, first off, that break, I would definitely allow Santorin to have a break because mental health is very, very important. To get to first place, first I'll get Alfari back because Alfari is definitely a key player in Team Liquid. Plus, I think Tactical needs some better advice since a lot of the time he plays overly aggressive as an AD carry, and a lot of games are thrown just by Tactical dying.
Okay, so on to our next segment. We'll be going over now the patch that has happened, I think 11.13. The pros aren't playing on it right now, but I still want to go over how you guys think it would affect the professional play scene. And we're going to have our editor right here run the patch just on the screen for a moment. So if you haven't seen it, now's your chance. So I think one of the biggest changes is Hullbreaker, the new item added to split pushers. Do you think this would encourage the LCS teams to play, I guess, more of a Herald central playstyle instead of stacking dragons?
I think some teams may utilize the Yorick pick since Yorick has been pretty strong lately, and the addition to the Hullbreaker item, Yorick will definitely be incredibly strong and make a big impact in the solo lane.
Yeah, but on the other hand, we also have not really a nerf, but the Stridebreaker change, where instead of getting an ability to dash, like something that was really prominent for Darius and Set, it now is like more of like a core drinker item, but it slows for, I think it was 99% instead of giving you that dash ability. And so, do you think we're gonna still see Stridebreaker as much as we did before in the pro play scene? Or do you think tanks are, top laners are gonna shift to other mythics now? For example, we talk about Gore Drinker, Divine Sunder, which also got a pretty big nerf.
You definitely see less Darius and Set picks since the Stridebreaker dash was very, very big in like making those picks and winning those fights. But I guess the buffs to Divine Sunder and Gore Drinker would probably make champions like Aatrox or or like Camille more prominent. Yeah.
Other item changes we have seen is Prowlers, right?
Yeah.
Prowlers getting a pretty big nerf, which is understandable because you see a lot of lethality ADCs like Varus who don't even use the active that much, actually building it just for the stats. And so, Andy, as an ADC player, how much do you think the Prowlers would affect ADCs?
Not that much, since the Prowler's active was never really like the reason AD characters really want Prowler's Claw and Varus. It's really only for the extra lethality from the Mythic's passive.
Yeah, I think this also brings up, I think, a call nerf to Serpent's Fang. It's like another item that the stats are just so good that you don't even care about its ability to reduce shields. We see a lot of cases where champions like lethality build Serpent's Fang even though there's not a lot of shielding on the other team. So I think we might see that item getting nerfed soon. And so another item that got buffed was the mage items, who, as a sort of joke, got their gold reduced by 200 each. And so, David, how do you think that would affect the mid-lane meta coming up?
I'm not really sure, but I think although it may be 200 gold, if the stats weren't really changed, then it wouldn't make that much of a difference. It just like propel these mid laners into other items a lot faster.
Yeah.
Well, not a lot, but like a little bit faster.
I think in solo queue, we're not going to see that much of a change just because mages aren't really that much liked, and also 200 won't really make mages broken. But in professional play, I think it's a really big change because we've already seen mages for a really long time, right? They've been like always relevant in the meta. And also 200 gold means usually 2 or 3 minutes of getting that item earlier. And so we might see maybe the third dragon or second dragon fight turn out differently because some mages might have their mythic completed for that fight.
Probably.
Yeah, can you imagine like making it all the way to like the pinnacle of League players?
Udyr.
And yes, and then your coach just picks you Udyr every single game.
Yeah.
David, any changes you want to see?
I think it's like kind of like a little thing for supports, like how Bard, like we see in like pro play, supports usually like roam a lot, basically like Bard but not Bard, right?
Bard, but not
and there are some games where like the rest of the team will be like high levels, like 13, 12, and the support will still be level 7, not finishing an item yet with zoomies, right? So I think possibly a system that allows for like passive EXP game with support items. I think that would be pretty good because right now support is super influential in pro play, but it's also kind of starved for resources.
Yeah. And that's all for the second episode of the Not Podcast, and we'll see you next time.